My name's Margaret Kinkeade, and I live in Norman, Oklahoma, currently a graduate student at the University of Oklahoma in the ceramics department. I completed my undergraduate in printmaking, but have since kind of switched my focus a little bit to using clay instead of paper as my medium. My latest series, entitled the Doily series, was inspired by my unexpected early pregnancy at the age of 23. During that really, turbulent time where I was really anxious and sort of mourning myself or my former self, I found a really good group of women that I became very close with. And along with our conversations about what to do and what not to do and the, hills and valleys of being pregnant and of motherhood coming up, I learned to knit. These women taught me to knit. So we spent our nights, a couple nights a week, just spending time together, drinking tea and coffee and just talking about those things and making clothing for our families that we'd yet to meet. So to honor those women, I decided that I would like to make these doilies, which are domed whiteware similar to a bowl that they hang on the wall. And they're all incised and carved to resemble doilies of sort of like a fingerprint of each woman. So they're all named after women that I've known in my life.
Margaret, I think, is really interesting in that her work that she's done in the past is similar to what she's proposed, obviously, but it's completely different at the same time. It is taking that to the next level, pushing the limits, trying something new, and seeing what she can do with what she's already done successfully, which is great.
The installation that I propose is called Meeting House, and I chose that name based on the space where the two sexes meet in the Shaker community. So while they're still separated, they meet in this common place where they have their meals and they have their church services, for lack of a better term. And I wanted to incorporate that into the title because the work is really inspired by the division of labor between the men and women in the Shaker community. And while both of their crafts are highly regarded, their furniture, which is built primarily by men, and the quilts that are made solely by the women of the community, they're equal, but they're totally separate. I also have that within me too. I want to build things with my hands, and I want to be in the, we'll say, public realm, whereas my husband works with really tiny things. He's a jewelry maker, and so that he's very sensitive, so this delicacy within his masculine personality, and within mine I would much rather hold tools and hammer and weld. And I'm trying to figure out where I fit in. I love being a mother and I love being with my child, but I also am eager to get out. To try to make a visual representation of that, I chose to make a kitchen table, just a farm table inspired by Shaker design, and two ladder-back chairs out of slip-cast porcelain. That will be in the center of my space, and then leaning against two walls will be 7.5 foot by 5 foot sheets of steel that will have incised in it quilt patterns. The double wedding ring pattern, and then one being more, it's a housetop pattern. One exhibiting the double wedding ring, kind of exhibiting what women are supposed to want, is that connection to a man or just a companion in their life. And then on the other hand, the private sphere that the woman really resides in. And using steel, I'm trying to really neutralize the gender of both the object and the maker.
There is a lot of meaning behind Margaret's work, and I hope that the viewer sees that and seeing why we selected Margaret to be a spotlight artist. I think it's valuable in the community today, and that she questions a lot of things that still need to be questioned.
As I was working on the doily series, a lot of people were making a lot of comments about how my work is very feminist and ideal, and that was never really my intention. I can see the roots of that because I am, I appropriate some imagery of primarily women's craft and lace and the delicate nature of our work. When people made that connection, I really felt like I needed to learn a little bit more about what I was being lumped into. And while it's still like a constant, I'm still learning more about like feminist theory and those things. I decided I wanted to start at the beginning of like what really interests me about women, about the things that I've learned and why I honor the things that I honor. So I went back, 1774 is pretty much the beginning of America. So I went back and was learning about that, and was really interested in that division even within an equal society, that there's still male tasks and women's tasks. Some are done together, like collecting firewood and harvesting their apples. Things like that are done together, whereas furniture building is strictly a male activity, and weaving fabric and making quilts is strictly a woman's activity. So Meeting House is just a way of bringing those two sexes together, and both like the feminine and masculine aspects of their life together.